We're going to start off this session with some music sung by Rajesh David, and it gives the flavor. I mean, this is a Vedantic, Advaitic text, and it's a bit kind of dismissive of the world in which we live. But if we listen to the music, we realize actually, I do at least, it's life affirming. It's a bhakti. It's a devotional text, even though the actual words are very Advaitic, I would say.
Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karne. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate.
So that gives the flavor of this text. There's 30 verses. It's a short text, actually, 30 verses and one chorus. And what you heard there was the chorus. And after each verse, the chorus is repeated. So it's a text on Advaita or Vedanta, non-dualism. And it's sung by Shankaracharya, the sage Shankaracharya, who you may have heard, I'm sure you have. And they were walking along besides the Ganges, the Ganga, in Varanasi. A gang of them, some of the lads out for a walk, actually, you might say. And they saw this man who was not far off death, actually, sitting on the banks. And remember, in India, the Varanasi, or Benares, is the place where many people go for their last days on planet Earth. So they saw this man studying Sanskrit grammar. This is the first verse, or the chorus, actually. And it was kind of shocking for them to see that a person was still trying to cram stuff into their brain when, they didn't have much time on the earth. And so this is what prompted the singing of these verses. The first 12 by Shankaracharya and the following 14 by his disciples, and the last 4 again by Shankaracharya. And of course, I'm not going to treat it from a Vedantic point of view, not directly anyway, because I'm a person who celebrates life, or tries to. And I'm sure that's the same with many people here too. Life is to be celebrated, but at the same time, allowing that which is not visible to our senses, that which is even not available to our thinking, allow that to come to the forefront so that we can understand and identify with a deeper level of what we are. I think it was a bit condescending, actually. I mean, I understand the context. You could say it was a bit condescending. Who are we to laugh at anyone? And certainly someone who's there studying something, why not? But I think it was the context. And remember, these are monks. The people who are singing the song, they are monks. They have a particular perspective. By definition, whether it's a fact, I don't know. By definition, they've kind of moved out of daily concerns, the kind of concerns which we are concerned with. So in our life, we learn so many things, and we're still learning. And there's some people, scientists tell us that by learning, it keeps the brain cells active and it gives us a quality of life. I can also agree with that. But this is it. I think what they're trying to say here is that we fill our lives with lots of things which are necessary, of course, but maybe lots of things which are not very necessary. What is necessary and what is not necessary, I guess that depends on the individual. And I am certainly not here to judge. And I don't think the people who were singing this song really meant to judge. Anyway, it's called Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja means to worship or to sing. As you may know, there's a lot of the singing, a lot of mantras in yoga. They are actually signs, they are ways of worshipping, showing our veneration for this mystery of life. So bhaja means to sing, but also the side of that, the other flip side of the coin, if you like, but the same thing actually, is to worship and to show our veneration. So this is and Govindam is a form in Hinduism. Govindam is a form of Krishna. And we don't need to subscribe to Krishna, particularly if you do, that's fantastic, but you don't need to. And because we can look at a deeper meaning of the word Govinda. In esoteric teachings in India, in yoga, go, of course, it means cow. Let's not forget it means cow also. But the esoteric meaning of go is the senses. So Govindam means venerating or singing for that which is beyond the access of the senses. Govindam, right? So there's an esoteric meaning to the word Govindam. So singing, venerating, Govindam, that which is not accessible to our sensory impressions and not accessible also to our thinking. Doesn't mean it's unreal. It means it's absolutely real. But as I'm sure all of you know, in our practice, we do asana, pranayama, mudra, bandha, mantra, meditation, whatever. It's a way of just moving onto a deeper level than our habitual use of the senses, the sensory apparatus and the thinking. So I'm going to give it a tantric slant. I hope you don't mind. And those who are purist Vedantists or Advaitists will maybe object, but I'm going to give it a tantric slant. So please forgive me, but I'm not a person who rejects life. I'm a person who would like to embrace life. And probably, I'm hoping it's the case, that is the same with your good selves. Trying to deepen our understanding or realization, absolutely. But without physically, mentally, emotionally rejecting life, because life for me is a gift. So I'm going to break all the rules, perhaps. I'm going to give a tantric slant on this text. And of course, tantric, like modern day yoga also, doesn't reject life. The tantric vision and the modern interpretation of yoga, which I subscribe to also, it's trying to embrace life, but to deepen it. So this is where I'm coming from. And just for your interest, this text, Bhaja Govindam, it also has another name, and it's called Moha Mudgara. Moha means delusion, and Mudgara means to hammer. It's like it's a text to hammer, to confront, maybe to take out our preconceptions and our assumptions about what we are and the nature of life. So let's look at the text. You've heard the singing of it by Rajesh, and I must say it touches my heart enormously. This is why, for me, the music brings out the text from being a really dry, it is a dry text actually, a very profound text, I think, but it's a bit dry. So when we listen to the music, because each verse is sung, it brings it out and makes it, it brings it on a different level, right? It touches our heart. The meaning of the first verse is, "O foolish one, open your heart to reality. When your appointed time with death arrives, Sanskrit grammar will surely not help you." Right, "Oh foolish one," I think that's a bit heavy duty. Misguided, perhaps, eh? And even not misguided, you know, we're all misguided in our own way. But they're saying this man, could have been a woman also, but in the text, in the history, it's a man sitting there studying Sanskrit. And maybe he's just using the Sanskrit just to focus his mind, because we know when we study something, it can focus our mind. And when the mind is focused, it actually may open us up to spaciousness. And those who've heard me talk before, you know, I give a lot of importance to spaciousness, right? So that we are open to this level of our being, which is deeper than our senses and deeper than our thinking, right? So, "O foolish one," mura, the word is mura. I think we can say, because I would think if that person was there in Benares, sitting on the banks of Benares, I don't know whether you've been there, it's a very, very interesting place. And it's about where many people go and they burn the bodies of their relations or friends or whatever. They actually burn on the ghats, but beside the Ganges. And it's a place where people confront the fact of mortality. And by confronting the fact of mortality, possibly, and I think everyone sitting on this screen is well prepared to some extent, because we are actually doing a spiritual process of yoga, tantra, whatever it may be. We are spending time, little or more, doesn't matter. We are spending time just to be, trying to get a deeper understanding, realization of what we are. So it might be you sitting beside the Ganges, chanting or learning Sanskrit grammar, or maybe you're learning a language, or maybe you're studying science. I don't know, maybe you're studying yogic philosophy, but presumably you would be there and you would realize that this is opening you up to spaciousness, inner spaciousness. Although I must say, beside the Ganges, such is the place. There's so many things going on, burning of bodies and smoke and people walking up and down and tourists these days, lots of tourists, people from India, tourists from all over the world. It's a very lively place. It's not particularly clean. Some of you may have been there. It's not a particularly clean place, but it's a very vibrant place. And funnily enough, whenever I'm there, I haven't been there for about 10 years, but when I used to go there, which was quite regularly, when I lived in India in particular, what fascinated me was that despite all this noise, there was this quietness. And that was it's inducive, it's conducive actually to meditation. All these things going on. It's a place where bodies are burnt. It seems the least likely place to encourage meditation, but actually it is, for me at least. It's so quiet. It's an inner quiet. There's noise all over the place, things going on, but there's a kind of an inner quiet which is very conducive to meditation. So this verse, O foolish one, perhaps fellow, I would interpret, O human being, don't waste this time. You are on the edge of death as an individual. Use this time just to reflect or to sing a mantra or to be in spaciousness. And many of you know I'm very fond of the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. Practice some of those things which bring this sense of spaciousness. So, O foolish one, open your heart to reality, and opening our heart to reality, that is why we do yoga, that's why we practice spiritual processes, that's the reason for it. Yeah, it may give us better, it may give us peace of mind, that's okay. But the main purpose is to open up our heart to reality. So the next phrase, when your appointed time with death arrives, Sanskrit grammar will not help you. That is also true. And that's true for all of us. We may not be studying Sanskrit grammar. We may be studying something else. And nothing wrong with it. But we should realize studying this and studying that, that's what we do. It doesn't necessarily take us into a realization of our fundamental nature.
जहि धनागम तृष्णां कुरु सद्बुद्धिं मनसि वितृष्णां मूढ जहि धनागम तृष्णां कुरु सद्बुद्धिं मनसि वितृष्णां यल्लभ से निज कर्मोपातं वित्तं तेन विनोदय चित्तम्.
And the first verse goes as follows. O misguided one, it's the same word, mura. And I would change it from to a tantric point of view and say, O fellow human being who is trying to find, make sense of their life. Trying to realize the very base of what we are. Mudha literally means foolish one. But let's use a bit of, not imagination, but let's widen it open. Because we're all fools in our own way. We're all fools. Even the most educated person on the planet, in his or her way, is a fool. Or I wouldn't say fool, I would say conditioned. Conditioned by the nature of life and where we are born and so forth. O misguided one, give up the thirst for accumulating wealth. Be content with whatever comes because of destiny. Empty your mind of passion and reflect on reality. So there's quite a lot of, I would say, provocative ideas in there. We need money in the modern world as it's set up. We need money. Probably in the past, when we lived in tribes, money didn't exist. You know, probably the bartering system was there if we needed to trade. Or if it was a small group, then it was just a question of living life together, growing food, and so forth. But in the modern society, well, not even moderns, for thousands of years or a few hundred years, I'm not sure which, money has been an absolute necessity for organizing our life. And it's certainly the case these days. We need money. But I think the key word here is thirst for accumulating wealth, the thirst for money. And I'm sure all of you know very well that St. Paul in the Bible is said to have said, money is the source of all evil. No, it's not true, actually. What he said, apparently, is love of money is the source of all evil. Nothing wrong with money. Money's there to lubricate life. So we do things and sell things. It's our obsession with money. Of course, if we haven't got enough money and we can't buy food, of course, money will become the main issue in our life, no question. It's all very well talking when we probably got enough money or enough to survive. We could always do with more, perhaps, and perhaps we would even dream of winning the lottery, etc. But it's love. It's our obsession with money that ties our mind up. And it doesn't leave any space to reflect on reality. I don't think we can reflect on reality, actually, because reality is beyond reflection. But reflection allows us to at least open up to reality. So, O misguided one, coming back to the text, give up the thirst for accumulating wealth or money. Be content with whatever comes because of destiny. That could be a bit passive, and it doesn't key in with me because I've always been very proactive. But even in being proactive, there is a part of me that kind of knows that life presents things to us, things we like and things we don't like. We don't control everything that happens in our life. Maybe we would like to, but we don't. Life has got its own kind of destiny, and it makes more sense that a big part of us accepts that. Yeah, we're still going to earn more money. We're still going to become a success. We're still going to, get on family life. Yeah, that all goes on. But a basic acceptance or contentment. And we know in yoga an important concept is santosha. You probably know the word santosha. Santosha means contentment, not passivity. It means a basic acceptance that what is happening is happening. I like it or I don't like it. I can still try to change my life, make it better, do this, do that. Yeah, but there's a kind of contentment, or there's a kind of acceptance that life has got its own agenda. We may be part of it, but life has its own agenda, right? I'm not saying we should become passive, no. But having a general philosophical, maybe attitude to life. Yeah, I'm doing my best. I'm not getting what I want. That's just the way it is. You know, this kind of attitude is indicated in this verse. And then the last part of the verse tells us, empty your mind of passion and reflect on reality. It means, you know, life is such, and it's normal to want this. I would like a new piece of furniture. I would like to have a good meal. I would like to do this. I would like to go on holiday. Absolutely. I don't see any problem with that. But these things in themselves, they may make us happy. Yeah, that's good. No harm in being happy. After all, going on holiday could make us happy. No problem. If we assume that going on holiday is going to open us up to the very basis of our being, then it probably won't. It may do also. You may go on holiday somewhere, you know, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to you. And during that time, you have a realization which completely changes your life. It can happen, we know it, but it may not be the case. You know, don't assume that getting things, possessing things, is going to make us happy, exotic, ecstatically happy, because they don't. We know it. We get a new mobile or a new this. Yeah, we're kind of happy and contented, but it doesn't last very long because it's not addressing the very root of why we're discontented. And the root of discontentment, fundamentally, you may disagree with this, the root of discontentment is really this lack of realizing what we are. In our lives, we should have, I'm sure most of you do, some time just to be, to do some practice, asana, whatever, mantra, just to sit quietly so that we can be open to that which is not a possession and which we can't access through thinking. We can't even bribe it into being evident. We can't buy it. We can only make ourselves available. And this is what we do when we practice yoga. We make ourselves available. And in that may arrive the realization on a deeper level. I'm sure all of you have had your moments, you know, where you're just doing something. It may not be yoga. You may be walking in nature. You may be doing who knows what. But there's a certain space that comes there and bang, you feel something, you know something, there's a realization, or you feel inexplicably happy, fulfilled even. So this is it. So that's the first verse. As you can see, I'm giving my own interpretation. I'm not giving the hard lines interpretation, perhaps of a monk or yeah, because we all live in the world, and because we live in the world doesn't mean that we are excluded from spiritual or spiritual realization.
पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणम् पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसारे बहु दुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज
The water drop on the lotus petal has an extremely uncertain and temporary existence. I'm sure all of you have, watched in nature, maybe you're in the morning or sometime, a bit of water drop on a leaf. It could be a water lily, it could be any leaf, and the wind is blowing and the drop of water is there, and you're looking at it and you think, well, it's going to drop off any moment. You're not sure when. And the wind blows, and then suddenly the wind blows and the drop has fallen from the leaf. So this is the analogy that is given here in the first part of this verse, that life, so it is with our life, actually. Yeah, we're not sitting on a lotus leaf, but life is very uncertain. It's obvious to everyone. So the sense of this verse is that life is uncertain, which we know, and we shouldn't live our lives as though everything is absolutely there for eternity, because it's not. So this is a prompt. This is a prompt for us to get on with our lives. Absolutely, we have things to do. We have Sanskrit grammar to learn, all these things. But we should give a bit of our attention, the more the merrier, the more the better, actually. Give some attention to our spiritual practice, whatever it may be. Whether it's asana, because when we practice asana, it makes us available. It can be anything. Mantra, exactly the same thing, makes us available. Anything. We should give a bit of our time, because it's important, because our life, we might not feel like it, but our life is very uncertain. Anything can happen. And actually, in the modern world, where everything is going crazy, I don't think it's my imagination, we see how uncertain things are in the modern world. Absolutely. So this is a prompt, an incentive for us to do some practice, to look deeper into essential things, whether, our practice, read some spiritual books. It need not be yogic, it can be whatever inspires you and provokes you to look deeper. So I think that's a very apt verse. That's the first part. I'll repeat it. The water drop on the lotus petal has an extremely uncertain and temporary existence. So it is also with our life. We have, as individual human beings, we have the possibility of realizing the very foundation of this universe. By realizing the foundation of what we are as individuals, we realize that that same foundation is there underlying everything. I don't know how it is that humans have this potential. No idea. But we do have it. And most of us don't realize it. The people sitting on this screen are very blessed, in my opinion, because you have realized the importance of looking deeper, of spiritual investigation, of chanting mantra, for example, Bhaja Govindam. So I think this is a prompt. And of course, in our lives, when something horrible happens, perhaps when we lose a loved one, then this shakes us up and we start to become philosophical for a while. We start to question life. But then we get on with our lives and that's it. And that's good. We have a life to live. But we should also bring in to our daily regime this process of deepening. We may not see anything in particular, actually. May seem to be just sitting there or doing a few exercises, chanting a mantra. It may not be a dramatic shift. It can be also, huh? But you are putting in motion a process where you are allowing that underlying essence to express itself so that you realize the very reality of it. Another verse 25 actually, don't get embroiled in desire and anger. We all get angry. If I say to everyone, have you been angry in the last 6 months or something? You cannot tell me you haven't. I'm sure everyone has been angry. It's a normal part of life. But don't get completely lost in anger. We will become angry. Let the anger be there. And when it's finished, move on. Don't keep the anger in the heart. We know it. When there's anger and frustration, it leads to all kinds of psychosomatic diseases. Let go. So don't be embroiled in anger and desire. Yeah, desire also. If we're lost in desire all the time, it does create problems. Don't get embroiled in greed. Everyone's felt greed, I guess, but it's not the main driving force in our life. So don't get embroiled in delusion and greed. These are emotions, of course, of life, part of life, but on the spiritual path, we're trying to, whilst accepting them, we're trying to see beyond them, actually. So this is the sense of this. And then it says, remember who you are, okay? It may be an intellectual remembrance. You may say, well, that crazy Swami said something about there being a fundamental basis for our existence, or you may read somewhere. You may not have an experience. Doesn't matter. There's a kind of a buying in to the potential of that possibility. And of course, if you look deeper, as I'm sure all of you are, you will know there is something very mysterious in our lives. So remember who you are, or look into what we are, practice. This is the idea. Life is full speed, live your life, but give some time to investigation, to practice, to chanting, spaciousness, whatever. And then it gives a practice, which we're going to do in a minute. And I think most of you know it very well. Repeat the mantra Soham, right? And of course, you probably know very well that So is an indication of Shiva, and Shiva means consciousness, and Hum means I. So Soham means I am consciousness, or I am awareness. It's a beautiful mantra because it synchronizes perfectly with the breath. All right, so as we breathe in and out, So for inhalation and Hum for exhalation. So it gives this practice. Repeat the mantra Soham, I am Shiva, or I am consciousness, with every breath. Even not having a meaning is fine also. Just do Soham, not bringing in what it means. That's powerful in its own right, actually. But if you know what it means, then you can bring that in also.
Guru charanam bhuje nirbhar bhaktaha sansarad chirad bhavamuktaha. Guru charanam bhuje nirbhar bhaktaha sansarad chirad bhavamuktaha. Sendiyamanas niyamadevam drakshasi nijhridayam stamdevam. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja
The number 7 verse of Bhaja Govindam. It goes Kate Kanta Kasta Putraha. It means, who is your wife? Who is your husband? Who is your son? Who is your daughter? Indeed, this world, samsara, they use the word samsara, and the Sanskrit word samsara means many things actually, but it means the world of the senses, the world of mortality. Samsara is everything that we can perceive through the senses, through the mind also. So I guess dreams would also be part of samsara, certainly. It's also part of samsara. And the verse says, indeed, this samsara is strange, is wonderful and strange. And in Sanskrit, there is a word, beautiful word called vichitra, vichitra. And vichitra means strange, incomprehensible, wonderful, all these kind of sentiments in the word vichitra. So indeed, this samsara, this universe around us that we perceive through the senses, and which we know because of the nature of the senses, it's quite limiting actually. We don't think it because this world is huge, it's enormous beyond comprehension. But it's still what we are limited to perceive through the senses and the mind also. So indeed, this samsara is vichitra, wonderful, extraordinary, incomprehensible. Then the verse carries on. Where did you come from? Good question. Who are you? Who am I? Oh, brother. Of course, these are monks filling in time here, so I'll bring in the female side too. Oh, sister, inquire into these things and realize the truth. So let's sit quietly, remove stiffness from your body. I'll repeat the verse again so that you really got it. Who is your wife, brackets, husband? Who is your son, brackets, daughter? Indeed, this samsara is vichitra, weird, wonderful, extraordinary, incomprehensible. Where did you come from? Who are you? Who am I? Oh, brother, brackets, sister, inquire into these things and realize the truth. There's a lot of points in that verse, actually. Take a comfortable sitting position, feeling the contact with the ground. And even here, reflecting on the mystery that according to science, matter is 99.999 whatever percent space, energetically filled space, no doubt, but that we feel it as being solid. We don't need to look any further than this, actually. There is a mystery, an inexplicable mystery to this everyday occurrence of feeling solidity, a ground on which we are sitting, the floor, the table from which we take our lunch, the room in which we are sitting. Fundamentally, it is not solid. Feels like it, but on a slightly deeper level, it is not even solid. Anyway, let us not digress. Let us stick to the verse. Feeling as though your body is an empty vessel. And bring your attention to the space within. And visualize. If you have a wife or a husband, try to visualize them. And if you don't, a friend, visualize your wife, husband, friend, and realize that, like you, there is a mystery underlying that person. The same mystery that underlies you, underlies that person. Of course, you relate to that person as a physical body or an emotional, mental being. But fundamentally, if you are not conscious, you could not relate to them. And of course, if they were also not conscious, they could not relate to you. This is independent of whether the relationship is a positive one or whether it's a negative one. The very fact that the basis of them, even if you don't like them, the basis underlying you is the same underlying them. And probably they also reflect in their own way, even if they don't practice yoga or follow some spiritual path, they must also wonder about life and existence and their place in it. Through consciousness, you blend with each other. Through the mind, you may disagree with each other, you may love each other, you may not like each other. But on the level of consciousness, you are more than intimate. And then the same thing can be applied to your son or your daughter or your sister's daughter or your brother's daughter, whatever. Or your neighbor's daughter or son. They also, whether they behave in an acceptable way or in a very unacceptable way, the basis that underlies what you are is the same for them. and reflect that indeed this world, this samsara of mortality, is inexplicable. Even though we may have scientific laws and we are opening up understanding scientifically, etc., still we don't know very much. And we really don't know how this universe, the samsara, came to be. Who am I? On the level of the body, the personality, I am the body. I identify with the body. I am my energy body. I am this vital energy. But I am conscious of this energy, which means that the energy, the vital energy, is not the source of the fact that I am conscious. I am conscious of my physical body. Therefore, the body is not the source of consciousness. I have feelings, and I am conscious of my feelings. Therefore, my feelings are not the source of the fact that I am conscious. I have thoughts, and despite conditioning from birth, thoughts are not the source of the fact that I am aware. I am aware of thoughts, as though thoughts are objects, subtle objects. Identify with awareness. I am.
Govindam bhaje moodhe mate, bhaj Govindam, 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 bhaj Govindam.